Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast, where we break down everything short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, and building a profitable hospitality business. Whether you're a host, investor, or property manager, we share real strategies, real insights, and real experiences to help you scale smarter and grow faster. Let's dive in.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt Codd. I'm kicking it here with Austin Spitz, and today we have a special guest, Mike O'Connell, a short-term rental operator and one of the founders of Happy Guest. I use it, so we're going to talk all about Mike's life and how he can make your life easier. So what's going on, Mike?
Not too much. Thanks for having me, Matt and Austin. I feel like I was yesterday at the conference, but it's been a few weeks. That was a fun time. So thanks for having me on, and excited to kind of have a little chat here.
For sure. So, Mike, let's dive into it. Give us a quick rundown of what your experience is in the short-term rental space, and kind of give us a background of kind of how you got here today.
Yeah, so been in the space for a bit of time. I guess kind of my first intro into the space was I was started at this company called Turno, where we would do short-term rental cleaning operations, and then developed a cleaner marketplace where hosts could find cleaners, and then pay them through the platform, schedule them, all that fun jazz. Was there for 4 years, then moved on and started Happy Guest. Also, as Matt said, Kanan and I, who's my co-founder at Happy Guest, operate 8 rentals. It's a boutique property, kind of an apart boutique hotel, depending on who you ask. It changes qualifications every day. But a lot of why we have that and, operate that is product driven. So, when we run guests through our system, we like to test our new updates on our own guests first, right? Because I just would hate to be in a scenario where we deploy something and then, all of our customer base is yelling at us. So there's a lot that kind of goes in behind the scenes, and actually operating and being, an operator helps a lot when it comes to, how to build tech, how to build systems, around what other operators are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. The team at Happy Guest, kind of our founding team, Ben Coleman, Rebecca Ballard, and Kanan, all have, a ton of experience in the space, which is, I think, why it works so well. Rebecca was operating 400 listings in Gulf Shores, in the past. Ben has exited and sold a PM company that he started when I was in middle school. So, it's a good team. He loves to say that. I should have had him on. But yeah, that's kind of the quick little rundown. Like anyone, I kind of just fell into it, honestly. I don't know of many people that, grow up and say, I want to be in the short-term rental space. So I think we all have weird ways of how we got here.
Yeah, I think Ben declined. I think he said you're the guy. So
what do you mean? I actually asked him this morning if he wanted to join me, but he had some sort of engagement. Maybe he's golfing. I don't know.
You've been our first partner duo on here.
We've done it before, but should have had him on. Well, you could get him on the next one. He's interesting to talk about just his background. I mean, he's been in the space, for 15, 16 years. He was using OwnerRez before I even knew, in 2013, 2012. So, Ben's an awesome guy to be around.
Sure. Well, let's dive into Happy Guest. Tell me a little bit more about Happy Guest, and what problem, I guess, does it solve for people in the short-term rental space?
Yeah. So, I mean, just to back it up a bit, kind of why we started Happy Guest and, the problems that it was set out to solve. If you look at kind of the tech sphere, there's a lot of solutions out there that have guest portals, check-in solutions that are, all coming in post-booking confirmation. Right, how do we route that guest to be able to check in, complete all their pre-arrival forms. If there's rental agreements, if you're in a place that requires ID upload, if you have weird HOA requirements, there's a lot of these new nuances that, pop up in different markets that, people are operating in. And there were a lot of solutions out there that existed, but a lot of them, well, actually most of them were custom coded and, typically had like a high cost to entry and were really built for the enterprise operator, right? The people that have, 50 plus listings, 100 plus listings. And it, there'd be an onboarding fee because they're custom coding and building out these pages around your branding. So what we set out to do was, build a solution that had all those same features, like automations around, upsells, early check-in, damage protection, all that sort of stuff, automating locks and, the check-in process, where we could then offer that to like the everyday, host, like anyone of any property, size, because it's an out of the box solution. It kind of originally came one way. It was one way or the highway. The colors are all the same. The process is the same. Yes, your branding's in there, but it was almost, the anti Burger King model. Like you can't have it your way. And we've run that for almost a year now. Happy Guest's birthday is in 7 days when we went live. So it'll turn 1 on August 20th. Also my birthday. I didn't plan it that way or anything. No. So
happy co-host birthday.
Yes, you got to have a birthday, a celebratory thing. So it was that way for a while. And as Matt knows, he's an operator. It's that kind of out of the box solution where there is the ability, to build your guidebooks out, reservation pages out, all customized. And over time, we've, added probably, I was looking at my feature log, like 92 different features from the original system, changed a lot of stuff around. We're constantly crazy egging our own guests and seeing, their dwell times, click rates, where they're clicking through the product, because the idea and the purpose in my mind of a guidebook or a reservation page is to get that guest information as quickly as possible and quick enough that they're not going to message you, the host. They're not going to go to the channel messenger, or they're not going to pick up the phone and call. So we've really adapted into more of a Instagram-esque, Facebook-esque, TikTok-esque, scrollable up and down guidebook, you could call it, because that's just what the brain is used to and how, current, I guess, people are used to, scrolling up and down their phone. So the idea is like if someone needs the Wi-Fi info or if someone needs the door code, they should be able to access that information very quickly and scrolling up and down quickly and efficiently. It's almost designed to be skimmed and then dial in, on a specific spot that they need to be at.
I do use it. I do use it and I like it. And I will say that I send you guys emails and like, hey, you need to do this. But it's a good product, and I think a lot of people don't know what all you're offering. I think you're just being very modest. I tell everybody it's more of a guest journey platform. That's what I see it as. But especially for like smaller operators, like 1 to even 30 listings, who don't have their own damage insurance and just rely on air cover or VRBO insurance. Why don't you explain more about that part? Because you guys do offer damage protection insurance that either the customer can purchase or you could purchase. I think you could purchase on Verbo now. I think I saw Tim's email, but I haven't actually looked. But go ahead and explain more about that too, because I want you to explain how it's like a one-stop shop, because it really is a one-stop shop, and I think it's pretty impressive what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So the idea is we're going to like fully automate your guest registration, fully automate the damage protection component of it outside of air cover, right? Air cover is awesome to a degree, but to that guest, it's not insurance because, say you file an air cover claim, what happens? That guest is being asked for that, those funds. So when you're able to, purchase a policy on behalf of the guest, or offer the guest the ability to purchase a policy in lieu of a security hold, that's going to basically protect you and almost protect them for like the surprises that might come after. So we do have a couple different flows, Matt, and we even have a few more out there now that I'd love to show you. Where the original flow of Happy Guest, let's just kind of walk it back how the original flow was very hotel kind of legacy vacation rental oriented, where the guest was, sent through this guest journey, right? They're going to agree to their house rules. They're going to sign their rental agreement. And then they're going to be asked to either put a security hold down. And if they didn't want to do a security hold, they could purchase damage protection in lieu of that. That way, that operator is protected with either that hold or a non-refundable damage protection policy that the guest is purchasing. So either way, you'd be protected. Now, the other model, which is very traditional in the space, is you could go to a company. There's a lot of them out there: Rental Guardian, Wavo, Safely, Super Hog, and buy damage protection policies and bake that in, to your cost of operation, right? You need to, if you're a property manager or even a co-host, you need to make sure that asset, is protected, for your owners, right? So, and not even the asset as a whole. Like a lot of operators I run into, they're incurring these like small damages into like incidentals, right? That they're just eating, and you're really losing money over time. If you're replacing, a plate here and there, a mug here and there, a toaster that doesn't work, and you just don't feel like charging the guests for it, someone's got to pay for it. And a lot of people don't want to like bother the owner for a, new set of, pillows that someone's dog ripped open, like things like that, are going to add up over time. That's what we're really protecting against. And we do have the option, where either the guest can purchase it against a hold, or if you want less friction, you can actually purchase it on behalf of the guest. And we actually have a flow where you can make that optional to the guest as well. So they go through the flow and it's like, would you like to add damage protection? So on an Airbnb booking, the guest could actually opt in to paying, $37 for $1,500 worth of damage coverage. And a significant, like 18% of guests are actually buying that. We launched that like a month and a half ago. I'd never thought it would be that high when we launched it. I figured it'd be in like the, 5 to like 8-9%. And I think the reason is a lot of guests at this point in their journey, like on Airbnb, we see a lot of like habitual rebookers, right? And at some point, someone that's got, 10, 15, 20 reviews has probably gotten charged for something, and they're probably upset about it. And they see that and they're like, you know what, I'm just going to pay this and I'm not going to get charged. I don't need to worry about anything. So that's an option. You can also take that away and just purchase damage protection on behalf of each guest. We have different tiers. They start at like $500 in coverage per booking and go up to $20,000. And when, getting into owner acquisition too, going up to an owner and saying, look, we professionalize the guest journey. We're going to have rental agreements signed. Every guest's going to have a rental agreement outside the OTA. It's all going to be uniform. And from there, we're also going to protect the property, on incidentals, because you could go and say, hey, we have air cover. It's, protecting us. But what happens when that guest doesn't pay and then that claim gets denied, right? Are you on the hook for that? And it's just one of those things to take that worry away, I'd say. And then from there, once that damage protection is sorted out, Happy Guest becomes a dynamic, guidebook, right? Very engaging. You can have automated early check-ins. We have an automated early check-in module. I just looked at your account. You sold one this week for like $75. So,
well, 100, but no, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's how we make money, folks. We take a percentage of transactions. It's a free software.
I wasn't going to get to that part yet. I was going to wait.
Yeah. So like Matt just said, that's how I keep the lights on. That's how we keep the lights on here. We take a percentage of transactions. We have an automated early check-in functionality, and that's what really keeps the lights on here. We take 25% of early check-ins. Now, this module, I've tested it. It converts 3.8 times higher than that standard request module. And it takes all the legwork out. When the cleaner finishes up, it's marking that unit guest ready. You don't have to touch anything. Now, if it's a same day turn, the second they finish up, it's going to fire off to the guest, letting them know that the early check-in's available for whatever hourly rate that you set. The beauty of it too is, say it's not a same day turn and the property's guest ready, starting at 9 a.m., you can set it where they'll get a trigger sent to them, a text message saying, hey, guess what? Early check-in's available. You can pop in for 10, 20, 30 bucks an hour, whatever you want to set it at. And you'd be shocked as to how many people, if you're in a drive-in market or they flew in early and didn't even bother to message about an early check-in, they might just click it, buy it, door code releases at the time that they purchase it for, then they're in the unit and they're happy. So there's been a lot around, those systems here at Happy Guest.
But I think there's more benefits to, and I think like a lot of people understand, because I mean, I feel like I could sell this better than you, but there's more benefits to it than, for instance,
I need a better sales guy. That's the problem. Built this, and it's
when you're hiring, but for instance, you're selling these damage waivers at $37. I find the sweet spot, $37 to $1,500 in damage protection. But as a property manager, you can upcharge that, right? So I sell mine at $49. And like you were saying earlier, is that on Airbnb, you can just cover that. So I cover that. I bake that cost into my cleaning fee, right? So, but then I convert about 25, 30% of the time people purchase damage protection. So I'm actually making money on both ends in that case, because the cleaning fee goes to me and then they purchase my waiver and I'm making the $13 or whatever it is, whatever I'm upcharging, right? And the reason I set that, the way I looked at it was like this. So if I bought $1,500 of damage coverage on a Vrbo booking, I would charge the guest like $49 or $59. And I figured, okay, well, that's close to unreasonable. But if I set mine at $49 and then I'm paying you $37, I'm making the $12 every time. And then like you're saying with the early check-in, it's really an opportunity for, if you're running it's really an opportunity for you to make extra funds as a manager as well. Mm-hmm. Because some things if you're selling early check-in, it's not on that platform. So it's a different platform. So I think that it's great because I'll upcharge mine $49. And then after 10 days, it's like $1.50 a day. I charge them $3 a day. So it's like, it's more beneficial for me as a property manager to make a little extra money. And then if you were per se to cover that dish or whatever here and there, it'd be easy for you to be able to cover that dish because it's pretty much the profit you made. So
yeah, I would claim on it if the dish breaks. What are you doing?
Well, no, I know you could claim on it, but I'm just saying in general, I mean, there's different ways to skin a cat, right? So I think that with the fact that the built-in damage waiver is fantastic. I think that I've had a lot of conversations with people who manage properties. Me and Austin had a lot of conversations about damage coverage. We talked about, I think early in Austin's journey, we talked about self-insurance, all kinds of different things to cover that little incidental stuff. And I think that that's a huge pain point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it is very easy. I rarely have guests have issues. Sometimes they'll ask me a question and I'll say, oh, just refer to your page, and I'll just paste their link in there. And I probably should set up an auto message, but I'm lazy. But I think that's great. And the fact that you guys keep adding upsells and things like that. So there's ways for everybody to make money on it. And like Mike's telling you guys, it's free. It costs you $0. Unless you get, what is it, less than 10 bookings a year or something.
Yeah, but I still haven't charged anyone for that yet.
That threshold's so low.
Well, I figure if you have one property, it's seasonal, maybe it's in like Maine, that's around that threshold where we have to make money, but it hasn't happened yet.
So I was going to ask, what would the difference be for somebody that using Happy Guest versus, like, let's say, and I think you kind of maybe already explained this a little bit, but maybe open up a little bit more. Instead of maybe, what's the difference between me using Happy Guest versus me using like Wavo and going directly to them and doing the same thing? It sounds like you're kind of just facilitating that process. Is that making sense? Or did you just make it easier all on one platform to do all of this stuff? Is that kind of what it is? I'm just trying to get like a good grasp on the problem.
So there's a few differences. We actually use Wavo as one of our providers. We work with them closely. So we effectively are wholesaling Wavo policies. Now the difference is anyone could go to Wavo and get a spread insurance policy where you're purchasing that on every booking. Great. Now, Happy Guest is a mechanism which lets you deliver the guest the ability to purchase that waiver, right? So what Matt was explaining is on Airbnb, he's setting it where the guest has the option to purchase the waiver or decline. So if they decline, then Matt purchases it. But if they buy it, then Matt doesn't have to pay for that waiver, right? So there is that mechanism where the guest has the ability to, as an option, to add on to purchase the protection. That's one flow. And the other part of it is the claim process. So filing a claim on Happy Guest is super simple. It's just uploading photos, it's uploading the amount requested, and then the products that you're replacing it with, or any receipts from contractors that need to come in, which is nice. A lot of people freak because it's like you have to get the claim in right away. So we give you 7 days to file the claim. Now everyone's like, that's not enough time, and it's like, that's how long you have to initiate the claim. So if someone walks in and there's damage, file the claim. And then from there, if you have contractors that need to come in and fix whatever, you have 90 days to, complete the claim. So that's something that we like to clear up as well. So automating the claim process, purchasing them in one place, the ability to mark them up to the guest, like Matt was saying, and make that spread is nice. And I heard, Matt kind of bring up, self-insurance. It's challenging to self-insure if you're a smaller, manager, right? Because there are larger operators that have the ability to kind of run their own captive, right? So this gives you the ability to still, make money on top of it by marking it up and putting money into this pot essentially. But then you're not really responsible for paying anything out of that because that's just all marked up revenue. And then there's states too, where these are all actual insurance policies, right? So if you're in a state that regulates, the ability to self-insure, which there's a few out there, it's nice to not have to worry about filing with your state insurance bureau, because we're filed with every single one in the U.S. So that's something to consider as well. And I still haven't nailed the threshold on like what level you need to be at to make complete self-insurance, profitable, or even to run it break even. But a lot of our operators kind of run what I would call somewhere in like a flexible model, right? So they're still buying the waiver, but then they're marking that up and they're keeping all of that markup money. Whereas in the self-insurance model, you're just self-insuring, right? So that waiver, comes out, and, if there's damages, then you pull out of that pot to pay for those damages. Whereas this, you keep all that money, you're still buying the waiver and you're filing the claims against the waiver, just a different kind of model.
When you're selling the early check-ins and late checkouts, how does it know if the unit is clean? Is it just like kind of connects with your property management software, like let's say Guesty, and then when the unit is marked clean and ready, then at that point it'll kick on automatically sell it? And I'm just assuming that's how it works, but I don't know. Is that kind of
Yes,
close?
to a degree, we have different ways to run it. Like that is one, where if it was marked ready in the PMS, the most effective way to run it, because it sounds so crazy, and this is, I'm sure, how Matt runs it. We have literally a QR code, and the QR code goes under the kitchen sink or somewhere in the unit. And whenever that inspector or cleaner, the last one out of the unit, is just going to scan that QR code, and that's the last thing they do, and they're marking it guest ready. Because then I don't need to worry about an API going down, or, some APIs don't have webhooks, right? So that could delay, capturing that guest ready information by like 30, 40, 90 minutes. And that's a lot of money I could lose on a same day turn. So it sounds kind of simple, but it's the most effective way is to say, okay, the last thing you got to do before leaving this unit is scan the QR code. Now they're going to do that every single time, right? So it doesn't matter if no one's coming in for 2 weeks, still scan that QR code. Because now if someone books for tomorrow, it's going to tie that to the next reservation. It's going to omit owner stays and things like that as well. So it's talking to the PMS system. But that's how early check-in works. On late checkout, that's where it gets a little interesting. There's a couple different workflows that we have. One of the ones that I personally use is offering a 1 hour late checkout all the time, no matter what, because my cleaning team thinks checkout's at 11, but it's actually at 10. So I always have that 1 hour to play with. So if someone wants to pay $50 or $30, depending what season we're in, they can put that request in, and then Happy Guest will automatically be like, hey, it's approved, right? Then you can also set it for, a drop down, like how many hours do you want to stay? And then that submits a request to the PM or to whoever's on ops, and they can either approve that or deny it. But from like an operational perspective, what I've found on the late checkout, is it's conversation back and forth, because I'm sure this happens a lot. It's like, I want to stay till 3 p.m. And it's like, just organizing that, your cleaning team has to now maybe show up at 3 and they're working until 6. Like, it's just not a great fit for everybody. So like what I've chosen to do is only offer 1 hour late checkouts. And if they want to stay till 3 and the next night's open, you can book that. Great. And if it's a same day turn, get the F out. So that's just me. Other people run it differently, but that's just from personal experience and trying to automate everything, but still having that personal, relationship with the guest and being, hospitality centric. That's kind of the way I've found it to work and with my listings.
So you guys have a late checkout workflow now?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't looked in a while on my dashboard, but so okay, that's cool. I'm gonna check that out.
So Matt, I got a question. Yeah. I got a question for you then. So like, what is your favorite feature about this? What do you like the most about using from like a, an actual customer here, right? Tell me, what do you like most about it?
Well, okay, so I like that it's a guest journey, and I like that I don't have to pay for a guidebook. And I also like the fact that when I signed up with them, they pretty much completed 95% of the work for me anyway. Like, they went through and did my messaging. They went through and created these pages for me. I just went through and added stuff. So like when I first started, they didn't have a late checkout flow. So I haven't looked at it yet in a while. So my late checkout flow is basically inside my guidebook is like, if you want late checkout or you want to purchase any excursions, anything else, kind of grocery delivery, stuff like that, you can check out the Hostco link that I have right here. And then like I'll have like, for instance, like we've discussed before, I use the same locks in every house. So it's like, if you have trouble unlocking the door, here's a video on how to unlock the door. Certain house, I have a house with a fire pit. Here's a video on how to operate the fire pit. Here's where the key is located. You can watch this video if you don't know how. So basically, it's like to me, what I like about it is a central hub of information for the house that like I could just refer people to that. I don't have to be like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. If something comes up that constantly comes up, all you got to do is add it to the check-in page, and then they could just read it. And if they have an issue, I'll just refer them back to the page. But I rarely have an issue. But what I like the most is the money I make off of it, honestly. Because, I mean, like I said, so like when I said, I don't know if they turn on the Verbo thing, but like Airbnb, like I said, Airbnb, I pay for the waivers automatically. In Airbnb, I want as least friction as possible. It's where the most bookings come from. So I pay for the waivers, but the waivers are automatically included in my cleaning fee. And the reason I did it that way is because now it's one total price. So it doesn't really matter to me. Like, I don't really care. Like, it's fine. So my cleaning fee could be whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter. It's one total price. So I actually charge, instead of the $37, I charge the $49 extra in my cleaning fee. Unless it's a house that I think won't book because of it, I'll lower it down. But most of the time, it's not an issue. And then, like I said, 30% of the time, somebody will purchase that waiver. So I just made the $49 already extra, and then I'm going to make the $12 on that end. And then on top of it, I got friends that are like, hey, he sent me. So every time they get a waiver, I get $2 on top of that. So then I sell, like Mike said, I sell early check-in for $100. I got $75 there. I mean, I can make probably like $150 on a booking just by selling insurance, by somebody buying insurance and booking through Airbnb, by selling an early check-in, and then per se, I get a referral the same day. I can make $150, no problem, with no work. It costs me nothing. So yeah, I do like, and the thing like Mike was saying, like when you scan the QR code to mark it as clean, all that pops up on the screen is a button, and you click it. It says marked as clean, push the button. That's it. It says the property address or whatever it is, push the button. I wish they'd come out with an app, and hopefully that's in the works. But yeah, I think that was the hardest point of friction for me, is that I had to be like, you need to go scan this code. And I'm like, the third time, like, I'm not going to tell you again.
That button's now in your host facing side too.
I did see that the other day. Yes.
Yeah, so we
Yes.
added.
And then the other thing I like too, and I don't know if you guys do it yet on the booking on the normal, if they purchase a waiver or they put down a deposit, they always sign your agreement. They get their IP, whatever, they sign it, but they collect their ID and you can view their ID. So if anybody ever claims and says, hey, this is a fraudulent booking, like no bullshit, here's your IP address, you signed it, here's your ID. So unless they took your ID with you, and I think they have to hold a picture too, right, of themselves. So they have to have a picture of their face too. So it's like renting a car on Turo, right? So I think that's cool. The only thing I had that I complained about them too is that when I purchased the waivers myself, I don't get to see that ID that's captured, and they may have changed that now, and I know they're working on it because I want to have that. Because if somebody comes back and says somebody stole my card, this is a fraudulent booking, and it's a big ass booking, all you gotta do is go up there, pull all the shit, print it all out, send it in, and be like, here's the proof. There's no way they can deny the claim because it's 100% proof that they booked it. So
Yeah,
it protects you against that too, which I hear a lot of people complaining about chargebacks. So
yeah. So from the good thing about an Airbnb booking, like the one good thing is they're the merchant of record on that booking, right? So you're not really fighting the chargeback; they are. Now, say Matt takes a direct booking, through his own direct booking site, or it's a booking.com, situation, he's the merchant of record. That's where that rental agreement and the ID capture is very important because say that it's day 6 of the reservation and all of a sudden, they file a dispute with their bank and, that for whatever reason, I'm sure you guys have seen this, Austin, where, that chargeback situation happens. When we have the rental agreement with the IP address in which they signed, and we have that ID verification flow that's mapping the IP address with where they uploaded the picture of the ID and the selfie holding the ID. When you include that ID in that dispute, when you're fighting that chargeback with the bank, it goes a heck of a longer way than if you don't have anything, right? So my advice is if you're the merchant of record on a booking, you want to capture a lot of that information. The nice thing about Airbnb booking, as we know, is they're the ones that are taking care of that, for now at least. I mean, there's been some talks about that changing up in the fall, so we'll see how that kind of shakes out.
Yeah, so I mean, I look at it as like all around protection for you as a host, right? So you're protecting your property, you're protecting your stuff inside, or you're protecting stuff inside the property, you're protecting your income, and sometimes people get mad and they're like, "No, I'm just going to charge it back." Then so it's like I feel like there's the ultimate protection, including not spending. Like I was talking to somebody about it, a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Well, I pay like $99 a year for a guidebook on Touch Day." No offense, Touch Day. Please, if you get mad at us, just sponsor our podcast. But I'm like, but you don't have to do that because if you look right here, like I have a whole guidebook here and I can go add stuff in. Like the funny thing is, like I told you, when they set up my listing, they added like local restaurants in there, directions to local restaurants and things like that. So it's like most of that stuff is already answered in there. And then maybe if they link up with HostBuddy to be able to put that information over and add that link, you guys probably should. We might connect you with Jay.
You can do that in the knowledge center there.
Oh,
You're missing the boat. You gotta read your emails, man.
I don't. I do. On, you're right. You're going to spam already. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, no product updates Matt has read in the past 6 months, but I love that. We can talk about him here.
Yeah, but he's the one email. He said he's the one emailing you guys on all the recommendations.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those.
They're all.
Let's talk about my previous claim. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
they're all in your inbox, Matt.
I haven't seen anything. That's funny. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with the AI chat. So what Matt was saying is like he refers everyone back to that reservation page when they have a question. So like the typical flow is you have the short code on each listing that's unique. So if someone messages and says, "Hey, what's the Wi-Fi?" or what's a good restaurant to go to? The response is the short code and then maybe something nice. Like I get it a lot where I've seen people, this is where that hospitality aspect comes into it. So if someone's stupid and is like, "What's the Wi-Fi?" Your immediate response is, "It's in the guidebook. Here's the link." So like what I like to tell people to do is say, here's the link to your reservation page. It has the Wi-Fi information in there, so that short coded, you don't have to go look anything up. But then be like, I've also included my favorite restaurants. Like, let me know if you check any out, just to kind of get that, interpersonal relationship
So
going there.
So does it come in does it come in how does the interface look to like a guest, like an Airbnb guest? Is it a link in your automated messaging that takes you to that property's deal?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So each property is going to have its own unique listing page, and then that's going to vary based off of, the times in which they're checking in. So it's a static link, which is nice because you could set that QR code in the property if they needed to scan it. I could go on and on about how like I like that idea, but I still am a big fan of physical guidebooks. We can talk about that later because my dad is not scanning a QR code that's in the property. Not happening. I like physical guidebooks too. But then beyond that, you can send a link that is unique to that reservation. So they have two ways to access, the reservation page. If they scan the property, then they're going to enter their dates and name in there, and then they can get into it. Or they can have the unique link that they would find in the channel message. And it's all web based. They don't need to download anything.
Can you track like how is it? I'm sure this is a feature. Can you track how many times it's being viewed? Because I used to use TouchStay, and it was just like I feel like I would put the guidebook in there, and then like I don't remember what the stats were, but like then I started looking at it. I'm like, how many guests did I have? How many times this opened? And it was like never opened. I don't know.
So
But
that's
yours,
where
go ahead.
ours is encompassed, as Matt said, it's the guest journey. So if the rental agreement's being signed in there, that's where they're completing everything. So
Sure.
every guest has to view it in order to get into the property because that's where their arrival instructions live. Now, what's interesting too about this whole guidebook debate, and I want to talk about this before I lose my train of thought.
Yeah, that
So
was my next question. I was going to say why physical guidebooks. I'd like to hear that.
because I like to watch like how guests, react and like so at the Florida property, what we like to do, because this is a fun, anyone can steal this. So back in the day, there were a ton of newspapers, right? And they were printing off newspapers and they all went out of business, but those presses still exist. So what we do is like print off these Sunday New York Times newspapers. You can get someone on, Upwork or whatever to design it for you, make it very like brand specific. And I'll tell you, when you put that on the coffee table, so like a newspaper they can flip through, you can make them like once a year, twice a year. We try to do them like for every season. And in there, it's more expansive where there's property information to a degree and like everything that would be in the Happy Guest page as well. But then also you can include like little ads for all the local restaurants and breweries. Some people will do like little cutouts so you can bring it to like the local brewery and redeem it for a free beer. And then you can get good with that if you're in like a one market and you're really good in that market and you bring this to like an operator and say, oh yeah, we'd like to include you in this. Some people will get paid ad space, right? So it's like a cool tangible thing that you can touch and feel, because I always like think about like my dad. If my mom was in the bathroom getting ready and they were going out and he was sitting in the living room, there's no way he's going to scan a friggin' QR code. But what he would do is pick up that paper and be like, oh shit, there's this like brewery down the road that, I can bring it in for a free thing, a free beer and a burger. And well, that's cool. And then that business gets that redemption. Like it's that ecosystem where I think we've really tried to automate hospitality, and I literally own a guidebook company. But I think you need to step back and realize that we're so used to technology and we're so used to being in our phones that when there's something you can touch, feel, hold, it's just that much. It's so special. And printing these newspapers off is dirt cheap comparative to like you doing the old Staples binder thing, because then they can take it with them. And I encourage that. Like bring it with you, because you print like 50 of them off for the year or the season at the property and you have them. They're cool. And they're dirt cheap because there's a bunch of companies that bought these printing presses that are just waiting for people to order newspapers. So it's really cool. And then you could like, and you have so much space too. You can make it as big as you want or as small as you want. You can put crosswords in it, like all sorts of cool shit, like little games, Sudoku, like you can get really creative. And then people will talk about that in the review, right? It's like, that was like a really good touch, so.
It's actually really smart.
Yeah,
especially.
think about it, bro. Like all the newspapers in your town are probably out of business now, right? When you were a kid, you had the newspaper guy. You probably delivered newspapers. Now I haven't probably held a real newspaper in 3 years. Like you got to go to the 7-Eleven to even get like the Wall Street Journal now.
No, it's super smart because it's just another way to generate revenue and help the customer experience as well. So like if you were like we got one of our buddies manages like 20, 15 properties over in Panama City Beach. And if he were to partner, since he has that many, uh, that many connections out there, if he were to partner with people, he could probably sell ad space, pay for the newspaper, make money on top of it and drive direct bookings or extra things. Or be like, hey, every time they use this coupon, give me a % or something. So, I mean, that's actually pretty smart. It would be even cooler if you put a branded silly putty next to it and then made a comic page. People would go nuts, I'm
I
sure.
think Matt Codd, I think that's you. Your son can be the
Maybe.
comic guy. He's a little businessman. I like that.
Yeah, you know how many emails I get now since the conference? So for
Oh
those who
man,
don't
so
know,
Matt's son likes our swag so much. He's told me I should shut down the software company and open up a hat line. And he would sell it. He'd take 20%. I'm thinking about it.
he just
Maybe
likes it because it says happy as fuck. That's why he likes it.
not.
That's
No, he doesn't. It's happy AF. That's open for
yeah,
your
AF. But
certification.
he was
That's
so
awesome.
he was so wild at the conference that I get like 47 emails a day. Like he signed up my email at, like everybody's booth, got all this shit. Like he brought home like 2 bags full of crap. Like I'm like, dude, like what are you doing? He's like, oh, I went over to Happy Guest, I got an extra hat, and I went to Craftist Days and got another T-shirt. They wouldn't let me do the contest again. It was ridiculous, Austin. I mean, it's too bad I had to crop you into the photos and you weren't actually there to physically see it, but it was insanity. Like he was like, I don't even know why I went. He should have just went for me and just told everybody my name. So then that way I was just cool. Like
You
he
should
Yeah,
took
I
send
care of
him.
just
it.
I like how he just got a whole bunch of free shit, and all it required was just dropping Dad's email in there and just say, "Hey, just spam this guy, and I'll take another stress ball or whatever."
Oh yeah.
Dude, for
I used to
sure.
sign my we had this like thing in college and I signed my roommate up for everything. Like it was like one of those like job fair things and I signed him up for the National Guard in like 4 different states. Yeah. So if he's listening, I did that. No, but you should send him to Burma where there's gonna be like 20x the amount of vendors. He's gonna have a hat from every PMS.
Hey, if you guys want to sponsor it, we'll be there.
Yeah,
I sponsored his last trip.
no. That might be worth it from a content perspective. I'm gonna
He'd
have
be
to run.
good at a booth for you. I mean, you want
I
to take,
know.
he'd probably be really good at a booth.
How
I
old is
mean,
he? Can I?
he's
Am I
15, dude.
okay, so that's legal.
Yeah,
We
he
can
can
put him on
sell. He can
payroll.
sell some shit. Like if he just knows how it all works, he'll be like we were at a car dealership. I don't know how many times we've gone to a car dealership, and then he'll like read like the whole information page on the car, and the dealer will be talking to us, and he'll be like, "Oh, well, what about the ventilated seats? The ventilated seats, those are pretty awesome. They're cool and heat." And he's like, "You should sell cars." And he's like, "Yeah, the VIN number is YXZ2." I'm like, dude, I'm like, you're doing too much, bro. Like,
I love
yeah, he's wild. He is wild.
it.
I'll tell you. Maybe we have to have
You
him
should
on
get
as a
him to
guest.
go out and get all these local places to sell ad space for your guidebook.
It's a good idea, actually. I probably will.
Yeah.
And he's so smart. I tried to get him to learn how to build direct booking websites. I said, dude, you can build your own business. I mean, you know how to do this, so just do it. Proof of
No,
concept on mine.
Yeah, man.
my favorite use case so far from your son was when I saw on Facebook and you like handed him a bunch of like skip traced leads that you could call on, and you're like, "Hey, call all these people." And make him doing like the shitty part of the business, like the cold calling, like call them and see
I
if
did.
if they need a new property manager.
I paid him $1 per person, and then I told him that every what did I say?
Every
Every
meeting.
meeting he gets, I'd pay him $25, and then if we closed the contract, I'd give him a percentage. He was amped about it until about 100 calls, and he was just like, "This sucks. I don't want to do it anymore." Also too, when we were running those meetups, and Chris was over there, uh, he gave him a box of like disc golf bags. So like a guy we know named Chris Bitzenberger, he had done these disc golf bags, and I'm sorry we're going off topic, but it's a good
Oh,
story. So he got these disc golf bags made, and he was like selling them or whatever. But like he ordered so many, he just like was like over this. So he gave a box of like 10 to my kid, and my kid was literally out there standing on the corner selling them for $20 a pop. Like he just sold them for like $20 a pop and made what $200 for selling these bags that he got for free. So he's a little entrepreneur. but yeah, he's interesting fella. Everybody loves him. He's nice. He loves everybody, and everybody loves him. So
Good kid.
he's
Good
a
kid. Every
good
time I've
kid.
met him, he's been very, very cool, very respectful. Good guy.
Freaking genius. Yeah, to you and everybody else, just not me. But that's
Just
okay.
not
That's
at
how
the
it goes with
house.
your kids. What's the old saying? Like, if they're really nice in public and very polite in public, then the parents are doing a good job, but they're probably like a hellion at home or something. Or like, that's like my life. Like, outside, everyone's like, oh, he's so great. He's fantastic at home. Just like, dude, I want to kill you. So it's like things to look forward to, I guess. But yeah, I think, I mean, what you guys offer is great. And I think the best thing is that it's free. My biggest concern is when I first got it was the friction it would cause. Um, and I think there is some part that may cause friction if you put it in your instant book part instead of just your rules. But I haven't really had any problems with it. I think it's a great service, and especially for free. And if you're looking to get away from digital guidebooks and paying extra money, or even paying Wavo, I don't know what their insurance cost for $1,500 if it was a normal, like if you just went through them. But I think it's a little bit more than that. So
Yeah, we're usually around the same as MSRP, if not sometimes like $1 more, which I think is, a fair price. Um, yeah, and as for the friction, there's two trains of thought on that on Airbnb. Like me personally, I do security holds on all my Airbnb listings. Why? I'm in a market that can be a little questionable no matter what channel it's coming through, and I know that bad guests are going to find a way to book, but I want them to book with my neighbor, not with me. For me, it's not worth the blow up, of dealing with one of those crazy bookings. But then there's certain markets where kind of running the flow that you're running where you don't have to, deal with any of that because there is no security hold involved and you're buying the waiver. You don't have to disclose anything, right?
yeah,
Um, so different ways to go on that. I I like do it because all I do is talk about like the guidebooks and everything all day. And you talked about like homeowner acquisition, and like I get really fascinated by like ways that people are finding new owners. And I heard this one that these guys did, which is hilarious. So they know how like most towns will have like local farmers markets. They like got a booth at the local farmers market to like and basically said they were selling, honey or something like that. But they did it on a weekend that like is when all of like, owners are typically coming into town and they're walking their dogs and all this sort of stuff. And then it's just sticking on them. Then we also do property management service and it costs like $50 to get a booth at this thing. And you just set it up as the PM company. And that's like, I think there's like, if Matt could get in front of like an actual homeowner, like in person, like the odds of you not selling them are probably less than you actually closing that. Like that's the hardest part. And if you catch someone while they're there on like an owner stay in their town, like just these creative ways to get in front of them face to face is like what I get, hot and bothered about. But I was like, that's genius. Like you just spent $50 to get a little table at the thing and you close one owner, like that pays itself off like what, tenfold.
we
So
looked into that actually. We
yeah.
actually, yeah, we did. So what we're gonna do is we were just basically gonna get a booth and give out branded koozies. Um, and basically like give out branded koozies, have like a booklet with listings, so like people who are just interested in booking could book that. But we're gonna give
Mhm.
out branded koozies with like soda water or something. It was real cost was real minimal. The koozies were like 25 cents a pop. I think the soda water was like 25 cents a pop, so it was like 50 cents a person. um and we're still looking into that because we manage in basically like a local drive-in market, and like in our area there's probably, I don't know how many, I mean there's like 500,000 people live here, but I don't know how many, I mean sure, like probably a tenth of them at least have a house that's somewhere within 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours from here.
Mhm.
So we did look into that. It was a little pricey here, a little bit different cost, but we're
Yeah.
actually testing something right now because my biggest thing is like I want to bring people to me. So like you're saying, like if I'm in front of people, the easiest
Mhm.
way to close is if you're in front of them, right? And Austin could probably attest to that too. It's a lot easier when you talk to somebody in person than as opposed to being on the phone. So what we're doing right now is the high income earners, and I filtered out a Facebook ad, two of them. It's super, super filtered. And those of you who don't know Facebook ads, you can filter them out like like you could filter them out by steps. So like, for instance, your audience would be like, they would hit these things like Airbnb, VRBO, whatever the case may be. Then you'll filter out by like income, and then you'll filter out by like this, and filter out by like that, and then filter out by location. So what we're doing is that, like, I don't know if you talked to Justin Ford because you guys were close to the booths, the Breezeway, and we're Breezeway safety certified. And Aiden was so good over there that Justin gave him a code to do it for free. So my kid has to get on that. So, and he'll be the youngest one ever. But since we're Breezeway safety certified, we figured, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll offer free safety inspections to high income grossing homes, right? But then we want to take it a step further. So like last week, we were at an entrepreneurial TV show, filming one, and I'll tell you guys later when it comes out. But we were filming it, and we were talking about offers, and it was like, why don't you, like, you need to make an offer that's really, really good. Well, yeah, free inspection is really, really good. But then I'm like, how do I make it better? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to tell them I'm going to give them $500 if they get 100% on it. So if you pass this inspection with 100%, which is like a 0.01% probability, but if you pass this, I'm going to give you $500. And we just literally started testing this probably like last night. I just went through all the ads and everything, and then we're going to start cold texting, high performing things, offering the free inspection. But we figure that there's no way it won't get you in front of people automatically. And then you could upsell from different things after that. So it's like the end goal is to manage the property, right? But I could sell them a biannual inspection. I could sell them a one-time inspection in the future. If it's a low income, they could pay for the inspection, whatever the case may be. So it's like, so we're just testing different things. So I do want to say, like, for people to know, like, you don't just have to cold call people. There's other ways to obtain things. So, but yeah, I think that's a killer idea. And Austin and I haven't talked about this yet. So he's probably over here like, holy shit, you blew my mind.
You should actually. So what I do in the Happy Guest, you have the rental agreement, and then there's a little section that you can actually embed a video within the rental agreement component. So we have a safety orientation video in there, which I sent that to Justin. And he's like, wow. And we used to be like competitors when I was at Turner. But the one thing, like, I am, and he can attest to this too, like, safety is priority number one, to the point where my cleaning team, the photos that are a must-have is I need a picture of my fire extinguishers in the place that they should be. Because if some dumb guest decides to have a little party at 1 a.m. and spray the thing off, and the cleaning team comes through and realize it's not on the wall and I don't have evidence of that, like, I'm effed. Like, can I say fuck on here? Like,
yes,
that's a problem, right? I don't know. Like, I'm fucked. So, like, what I try to tell people is, you have your ground ops team in there, and some people get over obsessive about, taking pictures of, the place clean to have as evidence. And it's like, it's so hard to determine, like, if the ground is not dusty or dusty. But, like, if you have them in there and you need their attention on one thing, it's safety, right? Because there's little things that, we might miss that could be very, very expensive, and if not expensive, deadly. Exterior lights that aren't functioning could be a slip and fall. Like, Justin, if you haven't had him on, I would get him on.
We have. Yeah.
Okay. Get him on again.
I might.
He is awesome. And he's like one of those guys too, that I've known him for a long time. And every time I talk to him, I learn something new. Right. And I don't want to be like a guy that, he just talks about guidebooks. Like, everything that he talks about is interesting. And I think that owners don't realize, like you just said, like, where they could be liable, right? If they don't have, proper railings. Bunk beds is a great example. Like, if you go buy a bunk bed set and then you put a mattress in there that's too thick and it's overhanging the railing and some kid falls off, again, you're effed. Like, these, and I'm sure that goes into your, egress, all that sort of stuff. I see people that block egresses with, furniture, and they put it in their listing photos. It's just like, I think we neglect safety a lot. And that's why I really, really wanted to build that safety component into Happy Guest, because, if this stuff keeps happening where, alarms don't go off and, places burn down, it's really bad for the whole industry. And I think everyone needs to be cognizant of that. And that's a great way to win over owners too. Like, hey, if I'm an owner and I've been working with a co-host or a management company that does nothing with safety, and then I go in there and say, this is what I do, this is how I vet my guests, they're signing these rental agreements, utilizing those tools can help you win a contract. Because if I own a home and I then realized how exposed I was for the past 4, 5, 10 years with a different, operator, I'm pulling the ripcord, right?
Yep.
So using safety sells, and especially when you do it correctly. It might cost a little more money operationally, but it's going to be worth it in the long run for sure. And Justin can attest to that.
And that's exactly why we're doing it, because we figure that there's so many people that don't understand the liability of their property. Like the biggest thing that always blows people's minds, and I always use this. I'm like, did you know that you're supposed to vacuum out the vents in your smoke alarms every month?
Why would
People are
I do
like,
that?
what? There's a vent in the smoke alarm? I'm like, yeah, there's a vent in the smoke. That's what those lines are. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. Every month you're supposed to vacuum it. You ever have a smoke alarm that just randomly goes off over some bullshit, or just like doesn't go off when it's really smoky? That's why. What? Like people, it just blows their mind. Like you just don't think about all the liability, especially
Right.
when you have decks and everything else. It's like it's a good selling point. I agree 100%. I think that anybody should take that course and create a, because I crafted my own version, my own version, added extra things, but
Same
and then I'll
thing with sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good.
Dryer vents.
Yeah.
What do people do when they come to a rental? It's insane. They might as well go to a laundromat because all they do is come and do friggin' laundry. It's like they brought 10 suitcases with them every time. If you're not cleaning those out properly, that's a huge fire hazard. And I've seen it where like owners don't even realize that. And you can go in there, if you're in there live, doing a walkthrough, open that puppy up. It's going to probably 9 times out of 10 be really bad. Or it might be clean and be like, oh, they did this. Good job.
That's the problem with dryer cleaning services. The people who clean those vents, they don't advertise that enough the right way. They just say, oh, you want your vents cleaned? It's like, well, your house could burn down, because people don't do it in their own home either, though. So it's like,
no.
That's
But when
where you
you
don't
talk
understand.
about how the property, the washer dryer, if you're not doing outsourced laundry, you're running a residential washer dryer like a commercial washer dryer, if we think about it, right? Because the guests are using it nonstop. They don't know how to use it properly. They're probably overloading it, right? If they're running out and they're checking out at 10 a.m. and they get up at 7:30, they're going to probably max that thing out, and it's a disaster. And then you're running all of your linens through there too constantly. So that's like every appliance in a rental. You need to treat it like a commercial appliance, even though it's in a residential property. So your shelf life on these things too might not be as long. So maintaining them is super important. And if your management company's not doing that, I want to switch. And that's something to point out. Safety sells, and having a great maintenance program sells.
Yeah, that's great. Almost things with the S sell. No, I'm just kidding. So, Mike, I want to say, first of all, I really appreciate you coming on. We did a lot of bullshit at the conference. It was good to meet you in person. What you guys and your team are doing are fantastic. I think personally, that's just my opinion. And anybody else is entitled to their own opinion. But if they wanted to check you out, check out your site, or even just set up a call and you guys could explain it further, because you guys do free calls, I think. Still.
Yeah, we do. We do free calls, free onboarding, just like Matt described. I personally, we originally started where it is easy to set things up and happy guys. Like you can go in, everything's drag and drop. But what I found is it'd be like, okay, here are the keys, and nothing's happening. And I'm like, well, why aren't they building it out? Whereas if we build it all out for you, build a beautiful guidebook, optimize it for you, then you come on a week later and it's all built. We're like, okay, it's time to go live. And you're like, all right, let's roll. The other thing you mentioned, the T word, if you have a competitive guidebook, you can send us that link and we'll rebuild it for you for free. And then you don't have to do anything. So, that's something to consider as well. It's in our best interest to make sure that you know how to use the system properly. You're utilizing all the features in the system, because in our model, we only make money if you make money. It's all transaction based. We don't get that monthly, or yearly fee. So, our team is there to support you. I think that a lot of our support calls and conversations kind of veer off the path of even talking about our own product. It's, suggestions on, guest interaction and what are other people doing with, ops and how to it gets kind of wild. And we like that because if you're just talking about the same shit every day, it gets kind of mundane and boring. So yeah, hit us up. It's Happy Guest Official on Instagram, happyguestofficial.com. And you book a call. I'd be happy to jump on with anyone. You can email me, add me on LinkedIn. It's Mike at Happy Guest Official. I reply to emails. Matt, if you ever send me one, I'll get back to you.
I'm gonna send you one after this.
You should.
Yeah,
You should.
I will.
Demand letter.
And if you guys are on the fence and you want to ask me about it, you're more than welcome to hit me up about it. Just when you hit them up, just add me on there. Little thing. But yeah, once again, appreciate you coming on. And if you guys get a chance, if you could just review, share the show, do something for us, that'd be fantastic. I feel like we do a lot for you guys, providing value. And yeah, with that, I'll let Austin just ring it out.
Thank you all for listening. Peace.